Hello guys, so today we are going to discuss a very important topic, which is execution context and execution stack. So let's begin. Execution context is defined as the environment in which the JavaScript code is executed. When the JavaScript engine first encounters your script, it creates a global execution context and pushes it to the current execution stack. Whenever the engine finds a function invocation, it creates a new execution context for that function and pushes it to the top of the stack. If you do not understand it for now, then please do not bother. We are going to see it with example how this execution contexts are created and how each execution context is going to store in execution stack. So let's try to understand what do we mean by execution stack. So as we know, stack is a collection which supports LIFO. So same here, execution context is the collection of execution contexts which is supporting last in and first out. For now, just keep it in mind. Then whenever we write a JavaScript code and our JavaScript engine, when first time it encounters our code, then it creates a global execution context. So this global execution context is the default context which is created by JavaScript engine. Then whenever it encounters any function, for that particular function it creates a new execution context. So whatever functions we write, for each functions there will be one separate execution context, and for whole code there will be one global execution context which is the default one. Let us move to the next slide. Here we can see the live example. So this example, we can see we are having three functions, and we are calling this first function at the end. So whenever we will put this script inside the JavaScript engine, then by default it will create one global execution context. As you can see in the right, this global execution context is being created by default. So whenever we are calling this first function, then when it counters this calling execution of first function, then it creates the execution context for first function. Now whenever it will call from the first function, we are calling the second function. So on top of this first execution context, it is creating the new execution context for second function, and like for the third function. So now once this third function will be over, then this from this stack we can see here this execution context now having three number of new functions execution context and one global execution context. Now whenever the third function execution will be over, this execution context, which is the third one, will be removed. As we discussed earlier, it is supporting LIFO, last in first out. So whenever the last function will be over, execution will be over, then this third execution context will be removed from this stack. Like the same, when the second function will be over, then this second event execution context will be removed, and like the same. So that's how it works. Now we discussed this theory part, let's see the live example. We will open the browser. So I have written the code in Visual Studio Code. If you want to try, you can just install this Visual Studio Code and write some functions like this. And like here I have created three functions, A, B, C, and I am calling the A function, which is this function, and I'm calling it from here. And then from the A function we are calling the next function, which is B, and from B we are calling C function. So let's move to the browser and let's see how does it work. So let's go to reveal in file explorer, and let's double click and let's open it. We will go to developers tool, and in the source we can see that here we are having this JavaScript code. Now let's reload this. I have already added the debugger points so that we can easily understand it, that how this execution context is working here. Let's see, this is the call stack. Call stack is nothing but the execution context itself. Now when we are just starting this execution of this code, we can see here one anonymous execution context is available. This is nothing but our global execution context, and from the global execution context, since we have called this a function, so for this a function we can see it has created one a, which is nothing but a execution context for this a function. Now let's debug it. I'm just pressing F10, and we can see here now it is assigning one variable to a, and then now when we are going to call b function, and I will say that whenever it will call the b function, it will create an execution context for b function on top of this a. So let's do here. Now you can see one b execution context is created, which is for b function, and it is on top of a. Now let's complete it. Now same for c. Now once this c function is over, now you can see this c is removed from this call stack. It means that it is supporting LIFO, last in first out, and once the C function is over, then there is no more existing C execution context. So I hope you have understood this execution context basic things, and I hope it is useful for you guys. So let's discuss another point in our next tutorial. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.